Thank you, everybody, for coming. Amazing. Appreciate all 6 of you. So, to put it casually, the world is ending and nobody cares about it. Al Gore pretty much put it into some pretty good words when he broke it down and said that every day we're dumping 70 million tons of pollution into the atmosphere and pretty much the globe, and it's going to happen again tomorrow and the next day. And until global warming is worked on, it's not really something that's ever going to change. And honestly, I feel like it's a pretty popular opinion that, life is great and that we get to do a lot with this planet that is really taken for granted. Swimming, camping, snowboarding, skiing, a lot of different events that I personally enjoy, and I'm sure that there's different things that everyone in this audience can come up with that they love about this planet and that they just kind of take for granted on a daily basis that you don't really think about. You just wake up every morning and do. But at the end of the day, the world's environment is deteriorating as we know it, and the change that needs to happen is argued over consistently, whether it's required or needed, and as if it's wrong to just do the right thing regardless. But my opinion is the solution is to persuade people to believe that it's the right thing to do without thinking it's the hard thing to do, that it's the popular thing to do, that it's the fun thing to do, and that it's something that's going to grow the community at the end of the day. The planet's health is in decline. Global warming is one of the most well-known and highly debated topics of this current political realm, as it's deteriorating the atmosphere, the icebergs, the entire world's sea level is rising, as if that's not a tremendous thing to just worry about. And also another great stat to know is that essentially by the end of our lifetimes, it's estimated that 20% of the world's plant species will have died out and are just gone. I personally don't like to think, but I personally look at it as that, like, imagine going to a tropical location by the time that you're 80 and looking around and saying, like, this isn't the same. This isn't how it was in the pictures when I thought I wanted to kick the bucket list, I wanted to do this, and now it's not. You can't do it anymore. Essentially, one of the biggest things that I think of is how future generations need a place to live, need a place to grow, and to have and be able to take life for granted the same way that we do. Obsolete methods of powering the planet are essentially the biggest factor in tearing down the current world as we know it. When the Industrial Revolution began, essentially it was everything that we were doing at that point was geared towards a population of the planet of just about 300 million people. Currently there's more than 300 million people in the United States alone, but we're still using some of the same methods to power the planet, and we've tweaked them a little bit in some stances, but it's still the same at the end of the day. Renewable resources are the key to essentially turning everything around and making sure that everything is sustainable for future generations as well as for ourselves, and making a cleaner, more efficient planet. Bernie Sanders at one point mentioned that if we're actually serious about moving towards renewable energy, we should be moving towards solar energy, other forms of power that can really be continually used throughout the remainder of the year. He's one of the most well-known political figures in this debate, and he couldn't be more right in the fact. Basically, the hardest issue about environmental change isn't, in my opinion, about actually telling people what's wrong. It's kind of broken down into 3 different segments. There's the social version, the economic version, and the actual environment itself. Currently, to be an environmentalist, you can argue about what's wrong with the planet, what needs to change. There's still the social, where people call you a tree hugger, and then there's the economic of how is it going to work out money-wise. It's convincing the other 2 of the 3 that I feel is important in actually making the change that we need to do. To summarize, our planet's health is in a serious decline, And future generations of the world are relying on us to make that change so that they could essentially, as I mentioned, take life for granted the same way that we do. It's the best way to make this change is by leading by example and to make sure that this planet is something that we care about, but it's something that we just work into our everyday lives, and we make it the popular opinion on social media, however it is that you as a person think that you can make that difference. That is how you should be living your life every day, so that you can influence people into making it the social change. And by that, we can make it the economic change, because at the end of the day, after everyone is on the same page, we can make that difference. And that would be my solution to the general population's environmental impact on the world. B.F. Skinner put it into some pretty great words when he said, "Must we wait for the selection of problems of overpopulation exhausting the resources of the planet into a nuclear holocaust? Or can we take explicit steps to make our future more secure? In the case of the latter, why should we wait?" Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks for not leaving.
Of course, buddy.